Yo, what's up, everyone? It's Punchy Pixie, and this is gonna be a little bit of like an astro update, messages on Mercury in Taurus, and it's currently retrograding. So I'm gonna be completely honest. Y'all might be feeling mentally drained. You might be feeling like your brain isn't working properly. The messages that you might need to send or that you need to receive, that might be delayed. You might need to take more time. You also might need to simplify things. And yes, this is the second time I've recorded this because I needed to do the same. So one of the ways that you might work against the energy right now is really trying to force yourself into, planning and doing things, because I feel like this retrograde has come at a bit of a bait time. I'm saying it's a bait because it's like, I feel like we all just, especially over like Christmas and the winter, went through this deep period of transformation and tiredness. And we've really had to make some fundamental changes to the way that we are living our day-to-day lives. And now we were finally getting our energy back. And then this retrograde has come in. And I found that kind of funny because it was like, oh, life feels like it's going forwards. And now the things that you were getting ideas about, the things that you started to feel inspired about, are now getting grounded. Now it's like, hey, because you can feel really confident about things when it's on an impulse. You can feel super, super confident about doing things when it's impulsive. You can feel really great about doing something when it's just your instinct doing it, right? Because it's taken care of for you. It's taken care of for you. When you are doing things on your instincts, when you act out of insecurity, or because that's also an Aries ruled thing, when you act out of insecurity or on a whim or on an impulse, you don't really have to do much because all you're doing is acting out of that. So this Taurus Mercury retrograde is almost like, okay, and have you integrated whatever it is that you've just done so that it can actually be sustainable and fruitful? It really does ground the energy down so that you can get the most value out of the things that it is that you want to do. So one of the huge messages that were coming through is that Mercury started its retrograde at 15 degrees of Taurus. And if any of you guys are into Sabian symbols, which is very hit or miss with me, I kind of take things sometimes and then other times I'm not interested, but 15 degrees of Taurus talks about coping and rebalancing after a difficult or during a difficult or uncomfortable time. And how, as you learn to cope and stay upright during a crisis, you learn how to become a more trustworthy person for yourself and for other people. So this Mercury retrograde started at Taurus 15 degrees, which made me think, and I've been experiencing this too in my own life, how can we sustain a solid sense of valuable self and rebalance and regulate as life gets a little bit difficult? Because there are still things that want to be integrated into your life and solidified, right? Because we might have had these inspiring ideas of like, okay, I want to do this with my life. I want to do this with my life. I want to set this boundary. I want to live like this now. And now it's like, okay. And can we turn that into something that is solid and integrated? Something that is felt. Something that we can truly feel invested in. And as the tree shakes, as life tries to shake us, can what is really valuable to us stick? And that's what true integration is all about. And as Mercury is in Taurus, it's a much slower energy. And especially when you plus the retrograde, it's even slower. And it's really about deepening our sense of connection with ourselves. And Spirit was showing me this image of forming something out of clay. I was being shown like a pottery wheel and people like molding something out of clay, but it was showing it inside of a body. And I was hearing this message about how, you know, sometimes we can be really tempted to, you know, control our external circumstances and have our focus solely on external. And this is a time where we withdraw in and really try to organically mold and work through our resistances, and also like developing a solid sensation of value of ourselves, a feeling of self-investment, so that we're setting ourselves up for future growth. Because Taurus is fixed earth, and whatever Taurus commits to, it takes a bit for it to start to move, because it's, you know, it's slow. It's a slow moving sign. And but once it starts to gain momentum, once it commits to a path, it doesn't give up, and it will get the value in the end, and it will reap the rewards eventually. And it reminds me of the card of the Seven of Coins, which is a Taurus related card. And that talks about, you know, are you making the right investments? Are you making the right investments? Are you making the right investments in other people? Are you making the right investments into yourself? And honestly, invest into things that are truly investing into you and feel good. And Taurus rules the throat. So there's a time here now to have conversations. Have conversations about, maybe there might be an aspect of something that doesn't really feel good or is responding well in your body, but maybe there are other things that do. Use your voice. Even if you're nervous, even if you're scared, if you can start the process of having a conversation, it will lead you into this felt experience of value. That's the goal. And whether the relationships externally or the commitments shift or change, the goal is to bring you to that place of, I know what I'm doing is best. I know what I'm doing is best. And there's an essence here of learning how to self-validate, learning how, and surrounding ourselves even with influences that help us to dig back into us. They're not trying to control, they're not trying to take you away from you. It's like, hey, like, here is, maybe sometimes people will provide you water so that it's easier for you to mold your clay. Maybe they can give you techniques on how to mold your clay. But no one, and maybe sometimes, you know, there's that freaking scene in Ghost. Well, I've never seen Ghost. I just know the meme, where like some, you know, you're like in pottery class or whatever, people like put their hands around you and help you sculpt it. They can do that, but they're not doing it for you. And they're not taking the pot from outside of you and being like, aha, it needs to be done like this. No, it's yours. It's yours and it needs to stay yours. So this goes into a message that I've wrote down of Mercury retrograding in Taurus. It's a time for you to reassess your commitments. It's a time for you to reinvest into yourself. It's a time to reassess how you're investing into yourself, and including your felt investment into things. How invested are you really into something? Because when you feel your investment into something, that's what makes commitment really easy. Okay? And you can tell and you can feel when people aren't committed and aren't fully invested. Okay? So this is going to be a time where we need to discuss, use your throat, even though it might be closed up, even though it might scare the shit out of you. Slow down, breathe, rebalance, find that solidity, find that earthy sense of your own value so that you speak, so that you share, maybe even ask questions. Maybe even if it is just asking questions, it's important for you to be invested into what's truly helping you right now, including the people. And this also includes your money. Your money is a way that you invest. Sometimes, and this might hit with some of you, but I've noticed that sometimes people can either like invest with their money so that they don't have to invest themselves into something. They can just kind of like use their money to invest so that they're still somewhat protecting how much of themselves they invest. Or alternatively, if you don't have money to do things, you invest the whole of you into something. And either way, you know, there are just ways to balance things. You don't want to invest like all of your fucking life savings into something, right? Like that is a big decision to make. And there is going to be this time where we're asking ourselves, what am I willing to invest to truly develop valuable things that are going to stand the test of time, that are going to continue to gain fruits and gain back resources that are valuable to me? And this is going to come, you know, up with this as well. There are going to be maybe some things that your commitments are changing to, right? You might be moving away from things. You might be moving away from people. You also might be setting boundaries and saying, hey, you want me to give in a particular way to you that I can't do. Because there is also has to be an exchange of different types of investment in order for you to give yourself permission to invest. And I experience this quite a lot as a healer, as a intuitive. I work with people one-to-one, and sometimes people can see my gifts of what I can do and how I can invest, and they want me to invest into them in that way, in that particular way, without investing back into me in a way that gives me permission to do that. Because I've been there where I have given every inch of me, every ounce of me in a very felt invested experience, to then have that fall flat. And because I've invested so much of myself into it, it can damage your self-worth. It can damage your self-esteem, your sense of your own value, because there is an inherent belief that if something was truly valuable, then people would commit to it. That's Taurus, and it's the Taurus side of Venus. So commitment goes hand in hand with finding something valuable. Just because somebody doesn't find something that you offer valuable doesn't mean that it doesn't have value. It's about aligning with the relationships that do find that valuable. Something I always say to people that I teach. So oftentimes I work with people who cannot afford, who do not have the financial availability to invest into me, to have me invest back into them. So I'll ask for other forms of investment instead. Because things are, and again, the other side of Venus is Libra, is the balancing of the scales. You have to just make sure that investments are returned, and it's not as strict or restrictive as Capricorn Saturn energy of treating everything like a business partnership. No, but we have to always be feeling the correct investment. And even if, and this goes into the Taurus being ruled by the Hierophant, sometimes this is about your faith and also God. Sometimes God will ask you to invest in things on behalf of spirit, and this isn't about you getting a personal return on investment from that person you've invested in, but it will come through in another way. But also we have to watch the delusions that we have where we continue to invest when it doesn't feel good anymore, and we are just hoping and praying and having faith that return will be delivered to us. And I think it's a lot because I can feel people, there is, firstly, you know, I think we've all been there, right? Where we have overinvested again, it's our internal experience of investment. Sometimes we might do it with money, sometimes we might do it with physical things and our attention and, you know, the beauty that we provide to somebody's life. But sometimes our emotional investment can just be a felt experience with us, and we have just put ourselves into something. This can be, you know, always constantly thinking about them, always, you know, trying to find what's going to create pleasure in their life. And we haven't really slowed down and really thought about our own needs and what we get from this. And this can be difficult. And Mercury retrograde in Taurus, it may, you know, show you these different aspects of yourself. And this is not something to be ashamed of, though. Doing this and getting into this pattern isn't something to be ashamed of, but allow it to teach you how to self-invest and create value into yourself again. And speaking of, you know, Taurus having its associations with the Hierophant, this can be you investing into therapy, investing into healings, investing into getting massages, whatever it is to self-invest. You could also be investing in spiritual knowledge as well. The Hierophant is not just about, it does have its associations with teaching and commitments to learning, recommitting to learning, but this can also be as well about new spiritual initiations, about what it is that you want to learn and how you learn to integrate and ground different types of spiritual knowledge into your everyday embodiment. And it's interesting because in a lot of the picker piles that we did recently, there was a couple piles where now is the time to get therapy. Now is the time to commit to your healing. And especially if you have found yourself continuing to invest and then not getting what you want, continuing to invest and feeling like you're being shown nothing, please reflect on if there is a different investment that you could make, but you're resistant to. Because I have felt this in the collective for a little bit, and it's a small few, so this is not going to relate to everyone, but there are some people out there who are afraid to invest the last bits of what they feel like they have in order to create the true change, because they have had so many experiences of betrayal. They've had so many experiences where their investments did not pay off. They've had so many experiences where they have put every inch of themselves or every inch of their wallet, every inch of their commitment into something and no results are shown for it. And there is this last aspect of they actually are feeling drawn to some new avenue to commit to, but they are afraid. They are afraid because some of it might even seem similar. It does not feel similar to the past, but it might look on paper similar to the past. I'm really drawn to the butterflies on my cup right now. So if you, I wonder if this is for Taurus and Scorpio placements. Butterflies are Scorpio. Every time, yeah, I associate butterflies with Scorpio, and I keep being drawn. Like my eyes are just looking at that. So it's like there's a huge transformation that wants to happen with you, that wants to happen with your energy. I'm being drawn to now. I have on my other monitor the current birth chart, and the South Node is in Scorpio, and it's just working through just the end of Scorpio too. So you might be going through some last stages of purging your attachments to what you possess. This can be financially, the hoarding of things. If you're always trying to like hoard a lot of money, hoard a lot of resources in order for you to feel secure, there is almost like a symbolic act of letting that go and investing into something that will create true results. And the irony is that this thing isn't asking you to invest that much money. It's not. It's nothing over like 1,000, you know, it's nothing over $1,000. You know what I mean? I think it was probably even far less than that, so far less. But the resistance that you feel to that commitment is something deeper and more energetic. And I wonder if that's the exact thing that can be worked through in this modality, whether it's a healing that you're looking to get into, a therapy, you know, whatever it is. I see a lot of people having like trust issues with therapists. And I'm going to be honest, America, I'm British, so I don't know what goes on in America and who they let be therapists, because I've heard so many horror stories of Americans having really bad times with therapists. But I am in currently in psychotherapy, and he was my first therapist I've ever had, and it's been so good. You know, it's been such a relieving experience. And, you know, I think, yeah, I can't give blanket statement advice about something so deeply personal. I can't. I really can't. I wish I could, because I'd love to help you, but this is something that, you know, I cannot give blanket statements on. However, this Mercury retrograding in Taurus, it can be a time to heal that kind of stuff so that you can get on the right path, because you deserve the self-care. Taurus is very self-care. You deserve levels and deeper levels of self-care and commitment, and that investment. So, you know, there might be a subtle calling, and you might be afraid, and maybe even having a conversation. Maybe you can have a conversation, use your words to have a conversation to see if something can be worked through with the commitment. Because if anyone's truly going to invest into you, they can work around that commitment. And now I'm seeing a vision of you kind of molding a clay pot together. You know, it's a collaboration. And that's what investment can be sometimes. It's mutual collaboration on something. I'm just going to go over my notes and see if there's anything last that I need to say before I go and end this video. Yeah. Standard messages for Mercury retrograde. It is a time to slow down. It's a time to rethink. So try not to commit to anything like super long term right now. There's also as well like realizations around the way that you invest into people, the way that you invest into yourself. You might be rethinking the way that you invest into things and into your relationships. Think about the ways that you invest so that you can create tangible results in your life. If you feel stagnant, or if you feel like you have nothing to show for the things that are in your life, or the work that you've put in, maybe lean into and go inside, pull away from the external world, go into your inner world, and see if you can find the value in the immaterial. See if you can kind of extract immaterial, valuable resources from the hardships and from your disappointments, because that's going to really solidify you. And, you know, really ask yourself, if you want to have like a self-reflection question for the month, what grants you lasting security? Felt lasting security. And how do you get that? And how would you like to get that? And what types of things sustain your sense of value? And are any of those things unsustainable? Money is such a huge one of those things. People can sometimes get, if they haven't had a lot of stability in their life, they can use money as a way to create this sense of security. But at the same time, like, money is always kind of like coming and going. And also, if you hold onto it too tightly, you also stop the flow of it coming in. So there can be a lot of messages and realizations coming around that. I do really hope this video was helpful. I'm hoping that I've shared what I needed to. If you would like to support this channel in any way, please come and check out Patreon. And if you'd like to see more of what I do on a free aspect, you can check out the rest of my YouTube channel, check out my Twitch. That is where I do live streams. I'm a little bit more chaotic and a little bit more bubs. But yeah, if you'd like a private reading with me, my readings are open. And yeah, Patreon is the best way to support me and to connect with me, and connect with more of my messages that I deliver. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you there. But if not, don't worry about it. I'll hopefully see you again here soon. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Bye.